Hello and welcome to another episode of the Back to You podcast. I am your host, Lily Riley, and I am so excited that we are back for episode number 2. Funny story is I tried to record this episode last week, but because of technical difficulties, we are doing this again for a second try. And there's a huge gift in that because I'm in a totally different energy than I was last time. I've experienced more life since last time, so we get a little bit of a different Lily because I'm not the same Lily I was even last week. So that's pretty exciting. And we get an opportunity to go in a little bit deeper and maybe look at things from a different way. And I learned something new about myself is, well, it's actually not new. I can go on huge tangents and lose my train of thought. So I said, okay, what would help me with that? And that would be adding structure and adding points to make sure that I touch on all the things that I want to touch on. And when I go off, I can make sure that I get back on track. How earth-shattering is that idea? A little bit of structure to this crazy little flow I usually got going on here. But anyways, let's get into the episode. So before starting, I just want us all to get into the space, and I just want to take a breath. If you were in the car, please don't close your eyes while you're doing this. Please keep driving. Be safe. But I just want to take a breath to get into this space. So together we'll take a breath in, hold, and breathe out through the mouth. Let it all go. Whatever tension we had, we are here, we are in this space. And I just want to note, if I'm looking down, it's just because I'm checking out my notes and these little key points I gave myself. But I want to talk a lot today about a huge theme and quite literally what this show is about, which is getting back to the essence of who we are. And we cannot do that without allowing the human experience of continuously letting ourselves go. And the more that we let ourselves go, the deeper we can meet ourselves, because our true authenticity, the true version of ourselves is underneath all the stories and constraints and lies and masks that we have either learned or told that we had to live by to be safe in whatever situation we are in. And everyone has experienced that in their own way. And it doesn't have to be traumatic. This stuff does not have to be traumatic. For a lot of people, it is. And things that we store do not have to be the most traumatic experiences of our life. It can just be something that was painful and you were like, oh my God, I do not want to experience that ever again. And we'll talk a little bit more about action steps. I always want to leave an episode with something that you can do to integrate, to start practicing yourself. But I want you to understand this process so you can understand what it's really going to take to start letting those parts of yourself go. Like, why is it so difficult if it doesn't feel good, actually, the things that we hold on to? So what we think about with letting go is that it's this doing experience, right? Like we have to do something to let go, where it's actually the complete release of doing anything at all. It is a softening into what is in a full acceptance. And we could say acceptance is, we can say, and it is a form of letting go. Because what happens when we don't let go is because we're resisting what's happening. We're resisting how life is unfolding in front of us. And when we take the resisting away, all there's left to do is feel. Because what we're really resisting is the feeling and emotion that's trying to come through. And when we've been resisting that for decades and decades and decades, the feeling that's trying to come through gets a little bit more scary, gets a little bit more intense. We start proving to ourselves that we can't handle that, and that's not somewhere that we want to go. Let's talk about why we hold on. And here's the part where I am going to take my people pleaser hat off, and I hope all of you can put your big people pants on, and we can have a real discussion about why it's so difficult to let go. Because the process of letting go starts with awareness. And we have to be aware of where we are gripping onto things and where we are not surrendering, where we are not releasing. And a lot of the times, letting go is not just a person, it can be a belief or a story that we live by. And here's the thing, these stories are taught to us. These belief systems are taught to us. They are learned constraints because at our essence of human beings, we are free. At our essence of human beings, we are limitless. We are fearless. You're limitless. You were taught the limits in which you live by. You were taught the fears in which you try to avoid, or we believe these limits and fears and stories are keeping us safe because at one point we had to adjust to them because of the environments that we were in, because of being our authentic self to some degree was triggering to other people because they were unable to be that themselves. Literally our parents, they're human beings. This is their first time here too. They are learning how to do this in their own way, and they're doing the best with what they knew. Truly, which only warrants so much compassion and love, because if that's limit and constraint and shaping and molding you into a version of what they allow themselves to be, that's pretty sad. Like, you know firsthand what they went through because they learned that that was okay. So we create these stories. We allow ourselves to live by these stories and mold and shape and shift to these stories. And we take on that as part of who we are because we, in some degree, needed to take that on so we could survive. And now everything that we've done in our life, which we have made that decision, no fault of our own, but nonetheless, we chose that. We created the messes inside of our head, which is amazing because you did it, which means you get to change that. That doesn't mean that you didn't go through horrible things or really painful things. What that means is you created the mess inside of your head. Hallelujah. You get to start accepting that and taking ownership and stepping into creatorship. But what we have to do first is accept that every single choice that we made up until this point, right now, that we made them. We made those choices. And until we can do that, we cannot step into creating a new way of thinking, a new way of behaving, because then you will always be a victim to what is happening outside of you, and you will continue to react and perpetuate the same autopilot responses you have had your entire life. And then you'll be like, well, it's because of my story. Well, it's because this happened. If you want that, it's all yours. You want that story, you can keep it. But you tell me how that feels. You tell me how that's giving you a life of wonder and ecstasy and joy and anything you could ever dream of. And I'll tell you right now, it's not. It's absolutely not. And you know that. And if this triggers you, it's because you really know that. When we choose to recognize that those stories are taught and they're actually just constraints of the mind that we've chosen to live by, then what supports my victim story if I actually get to choose differently? Because if I really step into that, that means that the only thing in the way of me changing my life is me. And I don't get to blame anyone else for it anymore. Again, that doesn't mean that people didn't hurt you. What that means is you no longer use that as fuel and as your cage to shackle you to this life that gives no benefit to anyone. So once we are able to truly get to a place of awareness, we have to get to a place of acceptance. And part of acceptance is letting go of the story. And how we do that is we start recognizing all these places where we're complaining. We start looking at all the things we start complaining about all day. We start looking at all the things that are triggering us. You want to know where to work on things? Go through your day and see where you get triggered. See where you get triggered. That is going to show you every single space in your life where you are shackled to your story. And you are going to start doing that, and you're going to realize what a mess you have created inside of that head. Because what this requires you to do is to no longer resist what's happening in life and allow life to touch you. Because this is what's happening with a trigger is way back when, and you might not even remember what this is. We have two different types of memory. We have implicit and we have explicit. Explicit is saying that I ate eggs and toast for breakfast this morning. Implicit memory is where the memory gets stored inside of our body, inside of our mind body. Okay? We have two different minds, mind and the mind body. And these memories get stored in our bodies. Like we can feel these things without even knowing what they are. And we don't have to. That's the thing. You don't have to go into your deepest traumas. Like there's no need to go into and relive that whole experience. That's not what letting go is asking you to do. It's actually saying to get out of your head and to let your body and your heart go through the natural purification process of what it means to allow life to fully move through you. But what happened was life was moving through you and you said, whoa, I do not like that. That does not feel good. You did not push that outside of yourself. You pushed that down inside of yourself. And now you have been going through your entire life running away from anything that reminds you of that. Anything. And how's that been working? So when you go through this process, you'll be faced with some pretty gnarly feelings. Honestly. And here's the thing, and this is one of the greatest tools I learned by Michael Singer, is letting go when you have been suppressing things for so long. It's going to become a skill. Like we need to work on these things and build your capacity to be able to allow yourself to feel, because these things run deep, and the longer we push them down, the greater the fear, right? The greater the capacity, the greater the belief of the lack of capacity that we think we have to feel those things. So here is a great step, right? We're in the action step part of things here. 1, go through your life and see where you are triggered. Now remember, our family and our friends and relationships are going to be the greatest triggers, and they are going to be the deepest. Would not recommend starting there, right? But you want to try it? Of course, go ahead. Let go whenever you can. But when we talk about building the skill, if we cannot master the little things, how the heck are we going to let go of things that we have been pushing down our entire lives? Michael Singer calls these low-hanging fruits, right? Things that have zero benefit and 100% cost of complaining about. These things include the weather. Stop complaining about how hot it is. Stop complaining about how cold it is. Stop complaining that it's raining. Stop complaining that the weather is what it is, right? You will never be able to control the weather. I mean, you could keep moving and running away from the cold if you want to live in the sun. But I mean, the moment that you're in cold, you're going to be miserable. And I would rather you just work on letting go so you can be joyous and full of ecstasy every single moment, no matter what the weather is. Here's the thing, you got to start flipping things. I was going for a walk the other day and I was so cold. I literally came back from traveling in South America where it was warm, it was beautiful, there was a lot of sun. I had every reason when I was walking and my face was cold to start complaining and say, oh my God, why did I choose to come home? Why I'm so cold? This sucks. I should be somewhere else. I mean, who is benefiting from that? Not me. Not me. I saw myself starting to go there and I said, whoa, let's look around for one hot second, Lily. What do you see? Look at how beautiful all of the leaves are. Look how you get to learn how beautiful death can be. Look at how beautiful transformation is in nature. You get to literally see that you cannot resist change and that it will happen regardless. What a beautiful, incredible gift that is. And when I soaked into that, when I released into that, I was like, you know what? This cold is making me feel alive. there's a low-hanging fruit for you. If you can't master that, if you can't start practicing that, I don't want to talk about the ex that keeps popping up in your head. I don't want to talk about the stuff that happened when you were a kid. I don't even want to go there. You're not ready for it. You're living in a place where the sun is beating down and you are sweating. You are living in a place where the sun is blasting heat. You have two options. You can sit there and you can suffer and you can resist that the sun, which is a star that is so hot that you could feel it. If a city in Maine if the whole state of Maine caught on fire and you were living in Colorado, you wouldn't feel it. But the sun, millions of miles away, millions, and it can burn your skin. What the heck's that about? What's that about? You can focus on the magnificence of that, or be my guest and complain how hot it is and that you're sweating. And sure, do it all you want. But who's suffering? Who's benefiting from that? Are you helping the situation, or are you literally making yourself miserable? Driving behind a slow driver. Let's talk about that one. What are we doing? What are we doing? There's nothing we can do about it. They're driving slow. Maybe it's Granny's last time she gets to drive in a car, and you get to be in the car behind her and experience that. And she'll never drive again after that day. You can drive as slow as you want. Enjoy every moment of it. I get to listen to my song again. I get to turn on my podcast. Look at the gorgeous weather outside. There is no downside to ever doing that. And anyone that tells you that is fighting for their story to be miserable, is fighting for their story to live in their own misery. I promise you, there's no downside to it, literally. Because it's not about not feeling something. Being positive about a situation does not mean you do not experience anger, sadness, jealousy. It means you are not in resistance to it. And sure, be upset about it and then change your perspective on it. You're really that upset about the car in front of you driving slow and you need to let out a cry? Let out a cry. And then change your perspective on it, because you can continue to suffer after that if you want. Do whatever you want. And here's the thing. You are going to feel your whole body tighten. You're going to feel your whole body resisting, because you know what? You're stopping something from moving through. That's literally what you're doing. So what I want you to do is relax everything. Relax your butt. Relax your stomach. Relax your chest. Relax your throat. Relax and breathe. Stop thinking about it and just be in your body. Breathe into where you feel it. You're not going to ace this the first time. You're not going to ace it the first 30 times. This is why it is a practice of letting go. And look, I'm on a podcast talking about it, and I'm still working on so much, because you know what? I get triggered as fuck. I get super triggered because I'm a human being. But I realized it doesn't matter what I try to resist or what I look for that I want to happen. I'm literally suffering because if it doesn't happen the way that I want it to, then I'm upset. And if it happens how I don't want it to happen, then I'm also upset. So it always has to go my way. It always has to go my way. And you let me know, with the 8 billion people in the ever expanding population, how the hell that is going to work. It's going to go everyone's way every single moment. Oh, but it gets to go your way. Right. Do you see what we're doing here? It's crazy. It's ridiculous. You don't have to live like that anymore. It's simple, but it's not easy, and that's okay. But don't say that you can't. You're choosing not to, because you have chosen everything up until this point. That's the difference. When you take ownership and say, oh, I'm choosing this. I'm not saying it's easy. I am not saying it's easy. But nonetheless, you are still choosing it. But here's the thing. Fighting and resisting life only brings more of that. It only brings more of what you are resisting. But when we release and when we surrender, we experience the gift of what's on the other side of feeling that, because you are being triggered because that is where you are not free. And when you allow that to move through, the only thing on the other side of that is love, is joy, is peace, is ecstasy, is everything that you're actually looking for by trying to find it outside of yourself. The only thing that you are doing is you're searching for all the things that are inherently you. But you've been taught to resist and go look for it outside of yourself. You're looking in the wrong place. You are looking in the wrong place. The only way past something is going through it, is going in. Not going around, not going outside. And you know what? Maybe you accomplish it. But when have you ever gotten things the way you wanted them and then you never wanted anything ever again? Why would this be any different? I mean, you can do whatever you want. Do it however you want. You tell me how it's been working out for you. This is an invitation and an opportunity for you to say, maybe it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe it doesn't have to be as hard as I've been making it out to be. You know what? Either way is hard, to be honest. Resisting life is really hard and really exhausting. And surrendering to life can be really hard. But in one of them, you get a gift. And I'm going to leave that one up to you. You can take a wild guess which one leaves you a gift. It's not going to be coming from resisting life. So what I want to leave you with is that life is where we come to evolve and to grow. That is why we're all here. And there is a beautiful, incredible, authentic version of yourself that lives so brightly. Oh, that was confirmation. Underneath every single story and constraint that you have lived by. The freedom is all here right now. You just believe you have to do something to get it. You don't. You have to soften and release the need to do anything at all. To stop fighting, to stop resisting, to stop running. Because the only place to open our hands and receive is right now. You have to be here. You get to be here, actually. It's a gift to be here and to feel everything so incredibly deep. And to understand that we get to feel all of it. And when we don't resist it, there's always a gift. I cannot express that enough. There is always a gift. Always. There's not a gift when you resist. So I want you to have compassion because what you've been through is difficult and there's a reason why you've been resisting it. And there is a much more empowering and connected way to live your life that is filled with everything and so much more. If you so choose to let go of the life that you currently live by, it's all a choice, I promise you. I'm literally making this podcast because I want another place and another way to reach people because we all deserve freedom because that's what we are. When you get to your true authentic self, that is when you find true freedom in everything that you've been looking for. But it has to start with letting go. So let life mirror back to you where you are not free. Let it show you where you have to let go and have the courage to try because you don't know what time you have left here. This is all limited. Don't live it being miserable. Don't live it fighting against every gift that's in every single moment. You can find the gift if you just try. You really, really, really can. But that also requires feeling. And yes, there are horrible experiences that we also have to protect ourselves. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about every single moment in between that you live your life. Where majority of people live their life. Because the more you are there, the more you will bleed into other people with that same energy. That will expand. But it has to start with you. It has to start with you. It will not start anywhere else but within you. The real journey of freedom is the journey back to ourselves, back to you. I say all of this with the deepest love and compassion because I'm on the same path as every single one of you. I promise you, we are so much more similar than we are different. And one of the most beautiful quotes from Ram Dass is, we're all just walking each other home. We are all going to the same place after this. Let's make it easier for ourselves. Let's make it easier for our brothers and sisters. Let's make it easier for our neighbors. But you got to start that. So I send you off with so much love. Thank you for being here for another episode. For yourself. For yourself. You rock. I'll catch you next time.